If this goes on, don't panic. Bringing hope to the world through speculative fiction.
Hello everyone and welcome to another If This Goes On, Don't Panic column. This time we have a new column called Book Navigator by Navarre Bartz. In this column, Navarre will be doing some in-depth reviews of solarpunk and hopepunk books a few times every year. As with all things, we will see how it evolves, but for now he'll be covering 1 or 2 books per review. This column addresses 2 issues for the podcast, both which stem from my review column, Bailey's Books. Number 1, for various reasons, I really don't have a focus in my book reviews other than stuff I like. So I thought it might be time to focus a little more on our niche. And number 2, this takes the pressure off of me to do so many reviews. As much as I like sharing books I really enjoy, I have enough going on with the interview portion of this podcast, along with the administrative pieces, editing, producing, and all the other stuff I have to do for the podcast. This will take something off of my plate. That said, I will still have the occasional Bailey's Book column. In fact, I have one coming up very soon. I will, however, be limiting those to once or twice a year. Now, before we start, here's Navarre's bio. Navarre Bartz is a recovering academic writing about the intersection of technology, society, and the environment. Originally hailing from the hills of Missouri, he now lives in Virginia with his wife, child, and feline overlords. His work has previously appeared in the Sifo blog, Optopia, and the Almanac for the Anthropocene, a compendium of solarpunk futures. You can find more of his musings at solarpunkstation.com or the Solarpunk Station YouTube channel. I hope you enjoy the column. Don't forget to let us know what you think on Twitter, Facebook, or Mastodon. Or feel free to leave us a review. So now here is Book Navigator by Navarre Bartz.
Seeds for the Swarm by Sim Kern takes us on a journey of the near future where warming has continued and much of the United States is now barely habitable. People from the dust states try to emigrate through a tightly controlled border to the lush states or muddle through with that rugged individualism we take so much pride in here in the United States. This feels like a very likely future, with continued exploitation of oil and corporate government collusion leading to huge sacrifice zones where people work hard in polluting industries that are choking out their communities so they can put food on the table for their families. Rilla, our protagonist, wants desperately to go to college, but doesn't have much hope of getting out of the dust states, even though she's in the top of her nationwide virtual high school. When she finds out the oil company in her hometown plans to destroy the watershed that provides what meager water is available to her region, and is the last thing to give her hope, she gets a ride to speak at the state legislature committee in charge. Despite an impassioned speech, her entreaties fall on distracted ears, beholden to corporate overlords and gadget addictions. One viral, embarrassing remix of her speech later, she gets recruited as a scholarship student at a university in the lush states. Starting with her interaction with the elected representatives, Rilla does a lot of growing up in the course of this book. I felt like Kern took everything I learned during the course of my 20s and made Rilla face these hard truths all in the course of a single year. During her many misadventures, I identified with Rilla's tendency to get swept up in the ideology of the groups she would spend time with, before becoming disillusioned when she found out they didn't have the answers she needed. This future has glimmers of hope, but the carcass of our current world is still the dominant society. While there are a variety of themes explored, I think the most important is how the protagonists push against ecofascism being the only solution to solving the climate crisis, regardless of who is promoting it. I think this really fits into what Andrew Dana Hudson said when he was interviewed by Solarpunk magazine. A solarpunk future is one in which the climate crisis is escalating. Institutions are failing. Late capitalism is getting even more precarious and putrid. And while technologies of sustainability might be becoming ubiquitous, we haven't yet managed to fully phase out the toxic old for the green new. It's a future/present in which we need a movement of solarpunks to shove us onto a better path. As someone who is an engineer, I really love the interactions between Rilla, a humanities major, and all of her engineering and scientist friends. They're preoccupied with how to get their projects to work the way they want to, without necessarily thinking about what secondary or tertiary effects the technology might have on the world. They are often dismissive of Rilla's legitimate concerns, and only later realized she was right in being worried. The Ian Malcolm quote from Jurassic Park comes to mind. Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether they could, they didn't stop to think if they should. Rilla's other main companions are her fellow humanities majors, including her previous public school rival from another dust state, and her non-binary roommate who literally smashes the patriarchy. As one might expect, it's up to Rilla to join the forces of science and the humanities to defeat the eco-fascist big bad at the end of the book. I do feel like this book is a little better about explaining why the kids have to be so instrumental in saving the day compared to most other YA novels, where it seems the adults just really needed to go on vacation that week. There are plenty of mishaps, victories, death, and embarrassments to go around in this story, making it a solid entry into the YA genre. I could have done without the love triangle, but I know that's a hard trope to kill. Rilla and the other characters feel like real, messy humans who are doing their best to make it in an imperfectly hopeful world.